What is Confucianism? Is it a religion, a philosophy, an ethical system? The answer is complex. It's often on lists of world religions, but it lacks a central god, a single divine scripture, or an organized clergy like monks and priests. Confucius himself was far more concerned with this world than the next. At its heart, Confucianism is a philosophical and ethical system. It is a detailed instruction manual for how to be a good person, how to create a good family, and how to govern a good state. Some scholars, however, argue that Confucianism crosses into the territory of religion because it incorporates ancestral reverence and recognizes Tian, a cosmic moral force often interpreted as heaven. Born in 6th to 5th century BCE China, its influence is hard to overstate. For over 2 millennia, it was the bedrock of Chinese society, the official philosophy of its government, the curriculum of its schools, and the intimate guide for family life. But to understand this idea, we must first understand the man and the broken world he was born into. Now, who was this man named Confucius? What was his mission, and what did he actually teach? The man we call Confucius was born around 551 BCE with the name Confucius. Master Kong was not a king, not a warrior, but a teacher and thinker. His family had minor aristocratic roots, but they were poor. His father died young, leaving Confucius to grow up facing hardship. Despite this, he gained an education in the classics of his time, learning rituals, ethics, and poetry. He lived during a period aptly named the Spring and Autumn Period, a time of profound political and social collapse. The old Xiao dynasty was a hollow shell. Warlords fought for territory. The old traditions were breaking down, and a moral vacuum had opened. It was a time of chaos. But this crisis sparked a massive intellectual boom known as the 100 Schools of Thought. Thinkers all over China were proposing different solutions to the same problem. You had the legalists, who argued that morality was useless. They believed only a strong, pragmatic state with strict laws and harsh punishments could create order. You had the Taoists, who suggested retreating from society to find harmony with the natural way of the universe, the Tao. And then you had Confucius. His solution was not laws or nature, but us, our character. He wasn't a prophet who spoke to gods. He was a teacher and a philosopher. He famously said he was a transmitter, not an innovator. He wasn't inventing something new. As one historian put it, he was China's supreme editor, looking to the ancient wisdom of the early Xiao dynasty to find the cure for his broken world. His mission was built on education. The curriculum he studied and taught was known as the 5 classics, ancient texts on poetry, history, ritual, and divination. He believed that by mastering these, a person could cultivate their moral character. His emphasis on morality, social harmony, and education reshaped Chinese society for over 2 millennia. For Confucius, education was not merely memorizing facts or mastering a skill. Education was the development of character. It started at home, with respect for parents and elders, the foundation of moral excellence. He distinguished between the Xiao, the petty person, and the Junzi, the gentleman or morally cultivated person. The Junzi strives for virtues such as Ren, benevolence, Yi, righteousness, and Xiao, filial piety. These are not abstract ideas. They are practical principles guiding daily life, how to treat family, neighbors, and society. Confucius democratized education. He opened his teachings to all, regardless of social status, a revolutionary idea for a world dominated by aristocrats. True learning, he believed, should be available to anyone willing to cultivate themselves morally. He did not write his philosophy down. Instead, his wisdom was collected after his death by his disciples in a text known as the Analects. It is through this book that his vision for humanity unfolds.
The core teachings of Confucianism. Confucius's system is built on 5 key virtues. The most important, the very soul of his philosophy, is Jin, or Ren. Ren is benevolence, humaneness, or co-humanity. It is the very essence of being a complete human being, empathy, kindness, and compassion. It's summed up by his golden rule: do not impose on others what you do not wish for yourself. But how do you practice this inner benevolence? This is the second virtue, Li. If Ren is the inner feeling, Li is its external action. Li is translated as ritual or propriety. For Confucius, this was the essential social grammar that makes society run smoothly. It's knowing how to act in any given situation, shaking hands, saying thank you, respecting your turn in line. These rituals are not empty gestures. By consciously performing these respectful actions, you are actively training your own character and reinforcing your inner Ren. Next is Yi, or righteousness. If Ren is the feeling and Li is the action, Yi is the moral compass. It's the cultivated sense of knowing what is right and morally proper, especially in your public duties. It's the decision you make not for profit or self-interest, but simply because it is the right thing to do. These are supported by Qi, or wisdom, not just book smarts, but the moral wisdom to tell right from wrong. As Confucius said, learning without thought is labor lost. Thought without learning is perilous. And finally, Xin, integrity. This is the glue that holds society together. Be trustworthy. Keep your word. Without Xin, all relationships collapse. But where does this education in virtue begin? For Confucius, the answer was the one unbreakable foundation for all society: Xiao, or filial piety. Xiao is a deep, active respect for one's parents, elders, and ancestors. The logic is simple. Your family is the first place you learn Ren and Li. It is the laboratory for virtue. If you cannot be good to your own parents, how can you possibly be good to a stranger or govern a state? This devotion, this Xiao, radiates outward. A person who is a good son or daughter will by extension be a good friend, a good neighbor, and a good citizen. Confucius's vision of society. Confucius's plan was to build a good society from the bottom up, starting with the individual. He saw the family as a microcosm of society. If children respect parents, brothers respect each other, and rulers care for their people, then society as a whole could function harmoniously. He organized this society into 5 key relationships. 1. Ruler and subject. 2. Father and son. 3. Husband and wife. 4. Elder brother and younger brother. And finally, friend and friend. 4 of these 5 relationships are hierarchical, but they are all reciprocal and not oppressive. The person above, the ruler, the father, was not given a right to dominate. They had a duty of care and benevolence. The person below, the subject, the son, had a duty of respect and obedience. Harmony arises not from equality, but from everyone fulfilling their duties and obligations with virtue. As Confucius said, the exemplary person seeks harmony, not uniformity. Society didn't need everyone to be the same. It needed everyone to understand their role and perform it with virtue. And what was the ultimate goal? It was to become the Junzi, the exemplary person. Before Confucius, a Junzi was a nobleman, someone born with high status. Confucius revolutionized this idea. He said nobility wasn't about birth, it was about character. He contrasted the Junzi with the Xiao Ren, or the petty person.
The petty person is narrowly self-interested, greedy, and materialistic. The exemplary person, the junzi, is moral, thinks of the greater good, and is governed by ren and yi. This was a revolutionary concept. Anyone, through education and self-cultivation, could become a truly noble person.
Legacy and modern relevance. Confucius died in 479 BCE, believing he was a failure. But his ideas would change the world. Interestingly, when China was finally unified, it wasn't by a Confucian. It was by the first emperor of Qin, who followed the brutal, efficient philosophy of legalism. He infamously suppressed other schools of thoughts and burned Confucian texts. But the Qin dynasty was short-lived. It was the next dynasty, the Han, that realized you can't rule an empire on force alone. The Han dynasty kept the strong state structure of the legalists, but they adopted Confucianism as the official state philosophy. This blend of legalist power and Confucian ethics would define Chinese government for 2,000 years. How? Through the civil service examination system. To get a government job, you had to pass a grueling test based on the Confucian texts. This created a government run by scholars, not just aristocrats, a meritocracy of virtue and intellect. This legacy spread far beyond China. In Korea, it was adopted as the state philosophy, and by the 14th century, all state officials had to study at a national Confucian academy. In Japan, Neo-Confucianism was adopted by the Tokugawa shoguns, who used its principles of loyalty, order, and social harmony to govern. Today, the immense emphasis on education, the deep respect for elders, and the importance of family and social harmony in these cultures are all powerful echoes of Confucius. This 2,000-year reign was not unbroken. In the 20th century, particularly during China's Cultural Revolution, Confucius was attacked as an obstacle to modernization, a relic of a feudal, unequal, and patriarchal past. But in recent decades, Confucianism has seen a massive revival. It's now often promoted as a source of cultural heritage and a moral anchor in a rapidly changing world. So Confucianism is far more than just a set of ancient rules. It is a 2,500-year-old answer to the timeless question, how do we live together? It argues that a good society isn't built by laws or force. It's built by millions of people in millions of daily interactions, all trying to be good to each other, starting with their own families. Confucius didn't seek followers. He sought better humans. He taught that real, lasting change begins not in governments or grand systems, but in the human heart that chooses virtue over vanity, empathy over self-interest, and harmony over conflict. In the end, Confucius's life teaches us that the path to wisdom is not in what you know, but in how you live and whom you help to become better along the way. Education is not a stage of life, but a continuous process, a moral journey that shapes individuals, families, communities, and nations. And as we reflect on his teachings, we see that learning is never just about knowledge. It is about becoming human. What do you think? Is this ancient wisdom still relevant today? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this video insightful, kindly like, comment, and subscribe for more content on philosophy and history.